Welcome to the Smart Connector podcast, which looks at the power of connection in business and life. Featuring solo episodes as well as a range of exciting interviews with entrepreneurs across multiple sectors, we offer tips and advice to build your impact, wealth and success, attract others for all the right reasons, and become a smart connector, the architect of your amazing business and life. French-based Lucas Caneda is global team lead at Uniqorn Incubator and a professional rugby player for Sarlat Rugby team. He now represents two of its startups, Formation.gg, which is an esports tournament-focused mobile gaming platform that supports all game titles for all tournament organisers, casual and competitive gamers and esports fans, as well as CXSports, which transforms the fortunes and profile of small sports clubs across multiple sectors through brand marketing, merchandising, and unique one-off events, all made possible by tokens. In this interview, Lucas and I talk about the natural connection between sport and business, about leadership, motivation, resilience, and teamwork, and all about the Unicorn Accelerator and the exciting sports tech businesses it's developed. Welcome to the Smart Connector podcast. I'm delighted to be able to interview Lucas Caneda today. Lucas, welcome.
Thank you, Jane. I'm happy to be here.
And you're global team lead at Unicorn Incubator, and you're a professional rugby player as well. So today I'd love to talk about that connection between professional sporting achievement and mindset and, of course, its application in business, because it's so helpful, isn't it, to have that background and be in business and be able to use it, isn't it, Lucas?
I think it's actually a very good thing that you can get the training that you need from sports and actually use it on business side too. It's very interesting how you find the synergies and the connections and the similarities between one and the other, especially in the world of startups that we at Unicorn Incubator are focused on. At the end of the day, you do need to be available to just put the effort that you need, be resilient and work hard, being able to take a hit and stand back up. Those are some of the things that you've learned, or I've learned in this case, thanks to rugby, thanks to sports, team sports, that bring real value to a business, to any startup that you take a part of.
Yes. And you came from Argentina, even though you're in France now, right? But you were born in Argentina and you grew up there, didn't you?
Yeah, that's correct. I was born in Argentina, lived there till I was like 25 years old. My dream was always to become a professional rugby player. Back home, there were no professional teams. So I knew that if I wanted to fulfill my dream, I was going to be drifted somewhere else. That made my decision a lot easier when it came to actually leaving, which was back in 2015, because that's one of the reasons why many people don't try or don't experience different places. It's, I would say, fear, or the fear to change is one of the feelings that have this same connection to business, that you need to get used to change and accept change in order to grow and become a better person.
So what actually made you choose rugby then? Because you've been playing since the age of 5, so I'm assuming that there must be some family connection, because as you said, it's not culturally, Argentina is known for football, isn't it, as opposed to rugby. So who encouraged you in the beginning?
Well, both my parents are sports people. They've played tennis, basket, volleyball, but none of them was into the rugby world. But my mom once, when I was a kid, she took me to the rugby pitch. However, I did try some other sports. I won't deny it. Played a year of football. I did some martial arts like taekwondo back when I was young. But the passion that rugby brings, a whole different thing. I remember a story that when I was a kid, and the first time I went to big football club in Argentina. I was 12 or 11 years old. So I was a little kid, right? And as soon as I went to the changing rooms, I remember around 60 players there, young as me. All of them looked at me and was like judging me by my looks already. They didn't even knew me, right? One of them stands up, comes to me and say, "Hey, what position do you play?" I was, "Oh, I play 7, 9." Yeah, that's pretty it. It's shy and everything. The dude looks at me. He says, "In here, and he names one of the guys, he's our 9. So pick another position." I was like, I'm 11 years old. I'm not into that mood, right? Back home, football is kind of very competitive, very professional, and there's lots of people that actually see that as a way out of a situation which is quite complicated back home, of poverty, I would say, and whatnot. So, yeah, I played the whole year, but at the end of that time, I decided to go back to rugby, where the values that you learn as a human being are very different. Since you're a little boy, you always speak about friendship, about belonging, about family, because we do say that the rugby is a big family. No matter where you play, no matter where you are, there's always place for you if you're a rugby player with other rugby players or rugby fans. You kind of see that everywhere. Everywhere I've been and I've encountered someone into the rugby space, you connect right away. Got the same topics to talk about, the same feelings, the same stories. It's pretty much what it is to be into the rugby family.
Yes, yes. So would you say that you feel that same kind of passion in the startup environment?
Yes, indeed. I've been into the business since I was a kid. Of course, depending on the age, you do different things. But I remember myself always trying to think as an entrepreneur. Even when I was young, I had, for my communion, I think it's called, I had some presents, had some money, and I decided to, back in the day, buy a CD recorder. That was back a long time ago. Instead of using that money to just buy a pair of shoes or a new cell phone or whatnot, I tried to create a business of my own, even though I was very young. And then I founded two companies back in Argentina, one into events and food catering, and another one on I had a shoe shop and a shoe design with my wife. So yeah, I've always been into the business world, I would say. I'm very interested about investments, about finance, about what's going on. And that's why the connection I did to Dom and Unicorn was immediate and so strong. Because what we do in here, we treat with startups every single time. And we incubate and accelerate startups from all over the world into different spaces like virtual reality, intelligent AI. We have a startup into the esports world, a rugby club, because yes, the Sarlat Rugby, we consider it a startup, even though if it's 118 years old. It does have all the similarities and problems that a startup has.
So I'd love to hear more about Unicorn Incubator, Lucas. Perhaps you could just explain exactly what it is that they do and what you do for them.
For sure. So here at Unicorn, we take the startups the American way. So it's not just an idea that you have in mind, a project, it's actually the next step. So we always ask for 3 key questions. That is a proof of concept, meaning that you actually have a service or a product that's being launched, even if it's a beta test or an early stage. Then clients, meaning that you are able to show that you have 1, 2, 3 or more clients that have tested that product and that they are happy with it, or that they are identifying things to improve, but that they think that it can help them at whatever they do. And then
Yes.
a third question that comes to trust, confidence, is if you manage to convince someone else that what you're doing, it's worth it. So why do we do this third option is because we also help into convincing investors to invest in your startup. And if you're not able to
Yeah.
convince someone that's very close to you to participate or to invest or to at least believe in what you're doing, how are you going to be able to convince, firstly, us, Unicorn, and secondly, whoever the investor we present you?
Yes, that's right. As you said, it's very important to be able to put a convincing case to any investor, really, isn't it? Yeah. So you're global team lead for two of the startups, Formation GG and CX Sports. I'd love to hear about what they do.
I would love to tell you more. So let me go into Challenger X, CXSports first, and allow me to just give you the link to our website, please, which is challengerx.io. And what we are doing here, it's actually the same business model that we do at Unicorn. So we took Sarlat Rugby, our rugby club in here in town, like 14 months ago, and we've identified lots of problems that we've been fixing, lots of
Yes.
solutions that we were bringing to the club, like we treat any other startup. We've started very slow with the very basics in terms of branding, creating a brand that resonates with the fans, going into the marketing of that brand. We've been we've started at around 1,500 followers in Facebook. Now we're over
Yes.
130K without any games. We expect to
Amazing.
be at 250K by the start of the season. During the season, our objective is to be at a million. So
Amazing.
yeah, we're actually a small club in fourth of or fifth division in France, but we are number six, I think, in terms of social media reach as a rugby club in the whole France. So yes, this is something
Oh, that's
we
amazing.
developed during the months, and that we started to think about the problems that we are facing, that we are dealing with, that we find solutions to, are the same problems that any other club are facing. Not just rugby and not just France, but every single amateur club or semi pro are facing the same problems in terms of brand, in terms of monetization, merchandise, social media. So, what we intend to do with Challenger X, and which is going pretty quick, because without doing any reach out, clubs are already contacting us from all over the world asking, how did you
Oh,
do this? So that also gave us a hint that this is why we should be addressing this problem as an SA and SaaS service. So we are giving the other teams the power, the tools to become successful. Our slogan is turning Davids into Goliaths. So we are taking the small teams around, helping them out with branding, marketing, merchandise, getting them this exponential reach and growth that they need, and turning them into successful clubs all around the world, and no matter what sport they are into, because we've been contacted by football clubs, basketball, even badminton. I don't know why, but there were like 20 or 25 different badminton clubs that contacted us. How did you do this for your club? We were
really?
shocked. Yeah, we were shocked that badminton clubs were coming to us and reaching out. But I mean, that shows that what we are doing really gets out there to people, and that we are creating a very strong proof of concept, because that's what we think Sarlat Rugby is right now for Challenger X. We are adding an extra, I would say, cherry on the top. That's tokenization. We are very much into the DeFi, decentralized finance world. And we believe that tokens are social tokens in this case are a very important, crucial aspect of Challenger X, because it's like the latest step that will take any club into the right path, especially in terms of having that engagement funds be a part of that club, earning social tokens, being able to redeem those tokens into different things like having an interview with one of the rugby players, having a special jersey signed by some other people. Those are all kind of things that right now with blockchain and this what's called smart contracts that can be done
Yeah.
thanks to it, and that we are leveraging to help other clubs succeed, grow, and reach out to their communities and make them an important part of the team, since they are super important. I mean, a club without their funds, it's not a club, right?
No, no. I mean, the fans, as you said, they make it really, don't they? I mean, that's what provides the fuel and the fire, isn't it? And all the engagement is the fans. So it sounds really, really amazing, really exciting. I love it.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, we are excited too. This project is moving very, very quick. We've been onboarding different clubs from all over the world, and we'll be reaching out a lot more first weeks of July. So yes, it's taking shape and it's going very quickly.
Yes. So, in terms of how it actually works, so people get tokens, do they? And then they can exchange their tokens for all sorts of things, presumably ticketing or merchandising, or as you said, interviews or maybe presentations, or is there anything else that they can exchange these tokens for?
Well, that's the beauty I like about tokens, is that you can do anything you want. Whatever you think you can do, you can probably do it with a token. So for instance,
Okay.
um, let's say I would like to make a shuffle for someone to participate in a special event with the rugby players, or being able to go into the changing room before a game with them and experience what happens in there, listening to one of the motivational talks by the captain, something like that.
Oh,
So let's
yeah.
say in order to do that, you could ask them to have a certain amount of tokens with their wallets, and then make a random choose for one of them to participate into the next Sunday's game, or whatever idea you have in mind. It's just a matter of putting it into place, and it can be done. And there's
Yeah.
no limits, and that's the beauty about it, because anyone can participate, anyone can get their tokens. You can also earn tokens as rewards for different actions
Yeah.
that you can do with the club. I don't know, you buy a jersey and you get a free token.
Yeah.
You can share this ad and you can earn a free token. After that, you can go into the e-store and you can actually buy a jersey or buy a ticket with the tokens that you've earned.
Yes, I can see how incredibly flexible it is and how it can build engagement and actually get people deeper, get the fans deeper into your world and give them a range of different options. I think it's very, very compelling and very interesting. So you mentioned that you have sports clubs from all over the world. Do you find that there are some sports that it lends itself to particularly, or would it work for any type of sport?
Honestly, I think it can work for anyone, because it's a business at the end of the day, and they're all facing the same issues in terms of branding, in terms of marketing, in terms of monetization. There's always the same barriers, the same problems, and the whole point of this Challenger X is to actually tackle those problems with solutions, viable solutions, but also solutions that we've tested ourselves first through Sarlat Rugby, and that we know for certain that they work. That's why the business is so compelling. It's because we know this can bring X amount of revenue or X amount of followers, or it can help you in certain ways. It can create brand awareness, because we've done it.
Yeah, you have proof of concept, as you said. Where are you looking to take Challenger X from here on then, Lucas? What do you see as the future?
Well, it's going pretty quick. We expect to be listed as a public company in the next couple of months. So I would tell you guys to keep your eyes open because, yes, probably by the first weeks of July, we expect to go public. And then we are very much in contact with teams all over the United States, Latin America, France, and UK. So nothing, whatever your club's facing, whatever problems you're facing, we probably have tested what works and what doesn't. So don't hesitate to look me up, contact me if you need a helping hand that can actually provide you value into your club.
Oh, that sounds great. So it would work for any club, no matter how big or how small. So it would work for, Manchester United or Liverpool Football Club or any of the big football clubs. And it would also work for a small martial arts gym, for example. Is the range that big?
The range is that big. We are not focusing on what we call, like, it's hard to say tier one, but we're not focusing on the elite sports clubs. Not be,
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because they are very much harder to reach, and that some of them have tested this already without much success. But yes, we are, as I said, we try to turn Davids into Goliaths. We are aiming
David's international.
we are aiming for the amateur semi-pro teams that are really struggling, that we know we can actually make a real impact for them, providing solutions to their problems. And then it's funny that you name a martial arts gym because we had very much of that. There were a couple of Taekwondo gyms, clubs that contacted us already. Again, we were shocked because we didn't know they were following or that they have heard about us yet, but they've been reaching out. So yes, it could literally work for anyone.
Amazing. That sounds great, Lucas. So I'd like to move on and talk about Formation GG, if that's okay. Could you explain what Formation GG does?
Yes, sure. Formation GG is an esports platform mainly focused in delivering tournaments available to everyone, and also delivering a platform that allows you to have everything at the same place. So there's content, a leaderboard, tournaments, videos, everything going on at the same website, at the same platform. That's Formation GG. One of the main reasons why we've launched this business is because there's a lot of scam going on the esports for, I would say, regular, casual, or semi-professional players, which are not into the elites. So by creating a legal entity in France, we are obliged to do what we engaged to do. So if we say there's a price for this tournament, we are obliged to pay it. If not, we go to jail. That is probably one of the biggest problems right now in esports, into the casual esports, that they are facing. That so much scam. So people say, yes, I will give you a free ticket if you win. And then the guy disappears and everyone has paid the loss, right? And also there
That's
is,
horrible.
yeah, I mean, it happens. So that's one of the things that we want to avoid. And another thing is that the elite gamers, it's probably representing less than 1% of the people that are playing, are the only ones that have the possibility to participate into tournaments, actually earn money through what they do best or what they love doing, that's esports. And we want to also tackle the next segment, all the rest of the people that are there, that they put the efforts, they train, they play, but they can't see any benefits out of it. So we are here for them, providing this, I would say, solution, or this place where they can all be together, challenge themselves, become a better player, earn some money. Because yes, there's prize pools by sponsors into the games. So yeah, that's a way to interact with people and to compete I would say, more casual or more amateur, but with good results and good engagement.
Yeah, I get it. So is there a connection between Formation GG and Challenger X? So, is there something that is working for both of them, or are they two separate, completely separate entities?
I would say they're completely separate entities. Yes, yeah, yes. In fact, they are. Yeah, I mean, the
Okay.
relationship might be that yes, there is some correlation in terms of our target audience, in terms of not going into the top level clubs or players in this case, but just that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so Lucas, let's get on to talking about this thing that we discussed at the beginning, which is really about the mindset of a professional sports person. Having been a rugby player for the Sarlat Rugby team and having started playing at the age of 5, what is it that you've learned from your professional rugby playing career that has benefited you in terms of your businesses and so on now?
I think a keyword would be resilience. One of the reasons why we do like working with rugby players is that we know how to take a hit and stand back up. We've all been in a situation where we're losing a game, we are training hard, we we think that we cannot keep going,
Yes.
but you need to. I mean, at the end of
Yes.
the day, you need to get the energy, get the weight from somewhere and keep going, keep pushing. And that's exactly the spirit that we are looking for whenever we are working with a business or with a startup. Because the startup world is very difficult. The percentages show that most of them fail at the end of the day.
Yes.
So, what makes you different? What makes you, are you going to do what it takes to succeed? Because sometimes that's the difference between winning and losing, failing or succeeding. It's just how much can you push? How much can you pull your team into this winning mentality that we need?
Yes, it's so important, isn't it? And, this conversation comes up time and time again with both my mentees and also with my podcast guests, because mindset is absolutely critical. Because, as you said, particularly in the startup world, there are so many knockbacks and setbacks. And in fact, it's all about that because it's a whole series of iterations and well, that doesn't work. This works, but that doesn't work. And it's just this process goes on and on and on, doesn't it? And if you don't have that mechanism in place to actually process those setbacks or those failures, call them that, then after a while they can start to eat away at your confidence and your self belief, can't they?
Oh, yeah. But I also think that from those problems is where you probably learn the most. When I was younger, I had a very serious knee injury. I kind of thought it was by the end of my career, to be honest. I play
Yes.
as a wing. I need to be fast. I need to be quick. That's probably the most important thing at my position. And a very serious knee injury could probably take you away. How do you react to that, right? Because it's very easy to just drop the ball. Just, okay, this is it. Let's go somewhere else. Let's do something else. But I still had something, a passion. I mean, my dream. I wanted to become a professional rugby player, and I was not there yet. And I knew I had to keep going, and I had to keep pushing. So the first thing I had in mind was, okay, this is what happened. I need to fix this. I need to make it good back again, and I need to be able to compete at the highest level by next season. And that was pretty short time period. So I, I went and I asked my doctor, I mean, what do I need to do? I asked my physiotherapist, what do I need to do in order to be ready when the time comes to play back again, at least at the same level, or if not, even higher. But that's the mentality that you talk about, Jane, that you need to be able to defeat your fears or face your problems. And always one of the things that we look for in here is solutions. I mean, there's almost for certain always a solution to your problem.
Yes.
It's only a matter of go looking for it, go search for it, and do whatever it takes to grab it.
Yes, yes. And I think also in every challenge lies an opportunity. Is of course the other thing. Every setback is also a new beginning in a way, isn't it? And so we do have to, it's very much to do with the way that we look at setbacks or challenges or failures or whatever. If we just look at it as, well, this is just a stepping stone on the path to success, that's very different, isn't it, to looking at it as actually a failure?
Oh,
Because a
for sure.
failure sounds terminal. It sounds like something that, it's, well, that's it, we put it in the bin. Whereas if you see it as a stepping stone or another door opening to something that is better, that is completely different, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the way you face things, the way you take them, and you just, with your objective in mind, with what you really want to achieve, the way you face it, what dictates what happens afterwards. And if you give
Yeah,
in your all and it didn't work out, okay, but you can feel certain that you have done everything you could to make it work.
that's right. That's right. And Lucas, the other thing about professional rugby playing is that it's all to do with team, isn't it? I mean, it's very, very, very much a team game, isn't it, rugby? So, how do you bring that discipline of working and pulling together as a team into your business?
Well, that's a lovely question because I'm a firm believer that a team always can do better than an individual alone. Maybe because I played rugby for so long that I'm convinced that that's the best way to go. And this is what we build here in Unicorn. We are over 45 people right now from 27 different nationalities. We always work as a teams. So we assign different teams to different projects, to different tasks, and we tackle them as a team because there's always a learning process through that workflow that can allow you to get better results. And the same happens at team sports, rugby probably being one of the most interesting ones, in my opinion, because anyone can play rugby. I think that's one of the things I like the most about the game. So no matter if you're tall or short, is thin or fat, quick or slow, there's always a spot for you as long as
Mm,
you do what it takes. If you see physically how the rugby players look, they're all different. There's no like prototype.
yeah,
I don't know. If you play basket and you're not tall enough, it's pretty hard to get there, right? Well,
definitely.
in rugby, there's so many different positions that you can play either one or the other. And I think that role play, I would call it, it's kind of the same thing in a business. And one of the things we actually focus a lot in here is so we always ask ourselves who is the right person to solve this problem, to get a solution,
Oh,
not really how do I do it. Because if I'm asking myself, how do I fix this? I'm probably not the right person to do it. And we need to be smart enough to have experts on different areas, on different things to tackle the problems at their respective area of expertise. So to be a lot more effective as a team. And that doesn't mean I'm not good enough, or it doesn't mean that he's going to take my spot. It means that the team is going to be more successful. The team is going to get the solution for our client. And that's one of the things we put a lot of emphasis on here at Unicorn.
Yeah, I love that. And it's such a different approach, because I suppose in a way, so many people feel as though there are things that they ought to do. They ought to be good at this. I see this a lot because I speak to a lot of early stage entrepreneurs or solopreneurs or whatever that, they're just starting up and they feel as though they have to wear all these different hats in their business. And it's a big strain for a lot of people because experts usually start up a business because there's something that they're really passionate about. And the reason why they're passionate about it is because they've got history and experience and they're really good at that thing that they do. But as you said, we do need people around us to do the things that we're not good at. So I love that idea of just that agility, really, of just being able to say, not how do I do it, but who can do it. That's really, really good. So, yeah, I love it. So, what else do you feel as though your experience as a professional sports person has given you a perspective on leadership?
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of motivation.
Yeah,
I do think as a professional rugby player or as a sports guy, I kind of understand that I would say 80% of sports comes from the head.
yeah,
So the rest is preparation and whatever else. But if you don't have that winning mentality that takes you to the next level or enables you to do 20% extra even though you're burnt out, I think that's what actually makes a difference. That's one of the things you learn or you get by playing such a competitive sport.
yes,
And that idea of always having to push further, that mentality, and a lot comes from motivation.
yeah,
So if you're not passionate about what you do, it's probably going to be 10 times more difficult to get the results that you want.
definitely.
And also, team, you learn that there's always captains at a team, and
Yeah,
there's two kinds, right? There's always the captain that on paper he is the captain. That happens also as a team in a business, which I think they're very important because they keep the team steady, they keep the team unite, But also there's what I call like silent captains.
yeah,
Those are the people that are not named as captain. They're not the CEO of a business or doesn't matter the position, but they're not, on paper, they are not that person, but they are a silent leader. Usually, I do love those guys that actually lead by example. They do what it takes, and they don't tell you what you should be doing, but they show you the
mm,
way. Uh, I do think that's a very good source of motivation, very powerful. And also, you can see that at a rugby game. Whenever a rugby game starts to be a bit boring, starts to be a bit monotonous, there's always a guy that goes a step further, does a very good tackle, runs an extra mile, and that starts to, I would say, it's contagious. So the
mm,
people around him start doing the same, and it's exponential. So if I go and take a step further, the rest of my team would say, hey, I mean, if that guy is going there, I need to be going at least to the same level. And that takes the whole team to push their limits. And that's one of the things I like the most. And I think that in business, it's very important
oh yeah,
being able to lead, to have leaders on a team that can not only tell people what to do, but show them and to actually, this is the path that we should take. Come on in. And like not only pushing, but also pulling into the right direction.
yeah, I love that. And I think that whole thing about motivation and energy and infectious energy, it's just so interesting to hear about it from, as I said, professional sportsman's perspective, because we all know that energy transmits, it is contagious, but hear it expressed in that way is really powerful. What about leadership, Lucas? Because that's, of course, a very, very big topic as well in sport, isn't it, in rugby? So who are the best leaders in rugby?
Yeah, I think leadership is crucial in any sports, in any business. If you don't have a strong leader, and by strong, I don't mean like with a character or something like that, but strong leader, for me, it's someone that shows respect, is honest, because honesty takes you to constructive behavior. Even for me, it's very important to being able to tell things to each other the way they are, even if it's not a good thing. Don't start going around, just tell things as they are, be constructive and try to improve, right? For me, that's a good leader. And also, as I said, a leader that actually leads through example, through showing you the way that we should be going, not just telling you what to do, but a leader for me needs to be working like the others, taking the extra mile, actually being able to push harder than anyone else. That's how you really earn trust. I think trust is a very strong word that you also learn in sports and in business. And as you know, trust can be burned out pretty quick. It's very hard to build it. But
Yes.
if your team trusts you, they are probably going to go with you whenever you need to, right?
Yes, definitely. And I think you're so right about that thing about trust, because teams don't work when trust isn't in the picture. People are not motivated if they don't feel trust. And people don't respect leaders if they don't also trust them. So I totally agree with you that trust and that it builds connection. I'm very passionate about connection. So I think that kind of underpins all of those things. Just before we go, Lucas, do you have a favorite rugby team? I'd love to talk about mine in a minute, but do you have a favorite personally?
I would probably name the obvious, which is the All Blacks,
Oh, yeah.
um, but not because they win, but even if they do. What I really like about them is that this motivation that they have and this leading by example, I find it very powerful with their team, because there's many games with them that they are like in a dormant mode until one of their leaders starts picking it up, pushing extra,
Yes.
and then the whole team starts to get excited, and then they become unstoppable. And
Yes.
that's why you can see that many of the times in 20 minutes they win a game.
Yes. The All Blacks are actually my favourite as well, and I love watching them, and I totally agree with you on that. There's something really electrifying when actually things start to pick up and you just see that incredible teamwork. Obviously, I know that
Amazing.
they are, really the best team in the world, but I also love that motivational ceremony that they do at the beginning, the haka.
Oh yeah,
That's very
yeah,
special, isn't
I love
it?
it. Yeah, and you know what it means, right? It's a ritual back from the Maoris going into war.
Yeah, a war dance, Maori war dance,
Yeah, exactly. So
design.
they are actually getting ready
Yeah,
for war.
yeah,
In the good sense of the word, if there is any, which I don't know, I don't think so. Now that I'm thinking through, there's no good terms of that word, but they are getting ready for a fight, for a challenge, right?
yes,
Because that's what a game is at the end of the day. There's 15 players in both sides
yeah,
that want to win over the other.
yeah,
So it is a huge challenge that you need to overcome. So mentality and preparation and being focused only on what's happening on the pitch can make the real difference. So that's why I think that ceremony that they do before each game is so important, because it takes everything away from them and it leaves only the pitch, only the teammates, only the ball, the referee, and the team in front. And that's why I think it's a crucial part of their game.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about watching it as well is that they are so 100% all in and absorbed in that process or that ritual, aren't they? And you never ever get the feeling that they are focusing on something else and just going through the motions. You never, as a camera, obviously, I haven't actually had the privilege of seeing them live, but when the camera moves from one player to the next, you can see that same level of determination and complete absorption on their faces. And that's just, it's so powerful to see, isn't it? Very moving as well.
Oh, for sure. And that's why it's so strong. Because
Yeah.
as a player myself, my best games come whenever I can take everything
Thanks for
away.
listening in. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to, rate, and review my podcast, as it will help me bring the power of connection to the world. I work one-to-one to help entrepreneurs ignite the power of authentic connection in their businesses and lives. I also help them accelerate their results through attracting and converting more of their ideal clients. And if this is something you'd like to do too, why not head on over to www.idealclientsuccess.com/masterclass and I'll show you.
My head's on the game.
Yes. You're in flow. It's called flow, isn't it? Because you are one with that activity that you're engaged in. It's a very special place.
Exactly. It's the best feeling. Yeah.
Well, Lucas, it's been such a pleasure to speak to you today. I am so excited about the incubator, Uniqorn, and about these two businesses that you've talked about, Formation GG and Challenger X Sports. And it's also been such a pleasure to talk to you about the multiple relationships between your professional rugby playing career and your current role as a business developer and entrepreneur. So thank you so much for joining us, for inspiring us. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Jane. The pleasure is all mine.